Hey guys, my name is Steph. I have bipolar disorder type 1 with psychotic features and mixed episodes. What does that mean? What is bipolar? What is mania? Bipolar disorder is a mental illness that has no cure but is manageable with medication and counseling. Definitely medication. You can get away with not going to counseling. However, I definitely wouldn't recommend it. My life has been so much easier since I started getting counseling. It's really helpful. It's a disease that I'm constantly having to learn about every day. There's more and more information out there. The more you know about something, the more power you have over it and how you deal with it. But let's get right into it. So bipolar disorder is extreme differences in extreme highs and extreme lows in behavior, energy, and mood. There are a handful of different types of bipolar disorder. However, the two most common are bipolar disorder type 1 and bipolar disorder type 2. For bipolar disorder type 2, you will experience something called hypomania. So someone who has bipolar disorder type 2 will start to feel really, really high, not need to sleep, have an inflated sense of self-worth, really high self-esteem all of a sudden. They may talk really fast. They might feel like they can do anything. And then they will crash after a period of time. In order for it to be hypomania, it has to last, I think they say more than 4 days or more, but it can last a very long time. It's a unique experience for everyone. A lot of stuff that I've seen online will say that mania can last 6 to 8 months. Well, for me, it lasted a year, and I've seen it last even longer for some people that I have met. So bipolar type 2, you go into this hypomania phase and then you crash and you become severely depressed. When you're hypomanic, you might be talking 100 miles an hour. You might be participating in reckless behavior. You might experience hyposexual or hypersexuality. I've heard it called both, so I'm not exactly sure what the exact technical term is for it, even though I have experienced it, which I talk about on my channel in another 2 different videos. If you're interested in checking those out, I'll put the links below. Bipolar type 1, this is what I have. Bipolar type 1 is often referred to as more severe. However, I tend to disagree because typically people who have bipolar disorder type 2 have much stronger instances of depression and suicidal thoughts. And these feelings can last quite some time. So for bipolar disorder type 1, it can become extremely more dangerous, though. That would be the difference. When somebody is in full-blown mania, which is where you end up with bipolar type 1 when you get sick, you can have delusions, meaning thinking that you have superpowers or that you're on a special mission from God or that your parents are famous people or that your parents are in top secret government. The delusions are endless. There are a million different out of this world things that you can believe. You can even experience hallucinations. A lot of times people self-medicate bipolar disorder with street drugs. It's very, very common. I've experienced that as well. Some of the things you can do when you're bipolar disorder type 1 is, like, for example, drive 100 miles an hour on the freeway and not think twice about it. Run through stop signs and not think twice about it. Yell at someone on the street that's 5 times your size and start cussing them out. Be completely fearless. One of the major telltale signs of experiencing a hypomanic or a manic episode is you'll start speaking faster. You won't sleep as much. People around you may notice this, but you might not notice it yourself. Mania, for me, there are long periods of normalcy in between. So that's what can make it really confusing. You might see someone and they will tell you they're bipolar, and you're like, oh, well, you don't look bipolar, you don't seem bipolar, you seem perfectly normal. Well, it's managed with medication. You can live a perfectly normal life if you're on medication. You can also help yourself out by getting counseling. But there are these periods of mania are exactly that. They're periods of time in your life. So somebody may have several episodes over their lifetime. It's called an episode, a manic episode, mania. With bipolar type 1, when you have a manic episode, it can go into severe psychosis and delusions. And that's where it gets really dangerous. You can become violent. You can become just completely out of your mind. Personally, I would be walking down the street and completely black out. I was almost hit by cars several times, and eventually I was hit by a car. And it's this big scar there. It popped up in my other video. So that's why. And then this one right there. Anyways, the lows for coming down from a manic episode or mania is feeling hopeless, feeling suicidal, having a lack of energy, not eating or sleeping as much, or sleeping too much, or eating more than normal. One of the problems and one of the things that really affects people in relationships is you might have a bipolar partner that has an episode and clears out the bank account and makes some crazy investment in something that is absolutely ridiculous. And then all of a sudden you're broke and you're losing your house because your husband went and spent all your money, or your wife went and spent all your money. It's difficult. It's difficult for relationships, but it is a manageable disease with medication, and it's life-threatening. Life-threatening. A lot of people die from mental illness. Again, 8 million people a year die from mental illness. 8 million deaths could have been averted with medication. So there is hope. And that's it.